A miracle is, by definition, an event that defies common expectations of behavior and subsequently is attributed to a supernatural agent, an occurrence that demonstrates God's involvement in the course of human affairs. A miracle is simply this: there's no explanation by the natural. It defies the natural. It requires the supernatural. Some in the world would have a view that is more naturalistic. It's anti-supernatural. And there are things that can't be proven through a microscope or a telescope. There are things that happen that defy just human explanation. Within the church, there is a teaching called Cessationism. It basically teaches that God used to do supernatural things, but not so much anymore. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. Those are people who are trying to control God rather than follow God. Those are people that want to limit what God can say and do rather than receive what God says and does. There is a great theologian. His name is Craig Keener, and I just want to do a bit of introduction, then we're going to get into the story. 2-volume set here called Miracles. For those who are watching online, I know there's a lot of pastors and got a few nerd friends. What he does, he argues against the natural worldview for the supernatural worldview. And he gives the reasons why, if you believe in the Bible, you've got to believe in the supernatural, that there is a God who is bigger than the world, and he can show up in it and do whatever he wants whenever he pleases. If he wants to speak, he can speak. If he wants to save, he can save. If he wants to perform a miracle, a sign, a wonder, then that's exactly what he can do. He looks at all of the occurrences of miracles in the New Testament, as well as in the early church, as well beyond the days of the closing of the Christian canon, as well as globally, looks at them historically, medically, theologically, and comes to this conclusion. Does God perform miracles? Answer: yes. And if you'd like to know more, feel free to get the 2 books and spend a year of your life reading them. It's all there for you. That being said, in the Bible, when it speaks of a miracle, sometimes it also uses another word called a wonder. And a wonder is when God shows up, there is this sense of awe that comes upon God's people. Like we've been visited. God has arrived. He's revealed himself. He's done something. And the people then are filled with awe, and the response is worship and praise and celebration at the coming of God's presence in a fresh way. Sometimes when the Bible speaks of the supernatural and the miraculous, it uses the word sign. And a sign is it points to the other world. See, when God finished our world, God and people were together. The supernatural was very normal. It's when sin entered the world and we separated the realms that we lived a more natural life and a more demonic life, to be frank, and less of God's presence. And what happens when a miracle occurs, it's a sign pointing. When Jesus comes back and the curse is lifted and Satan and demons are defeated and we're reconciled between God and man, between the seen and the unseen, it's a miracle that points as a sign saying, that's what it's going to be like every day. And occasionally we get a day like forever to prepare us for forever. When miracles happen in mass, it's called a revival. It's when God is healing and saving and delivering and freeing, not just a person, but the Holy Spirit falling on a group of people. To say it simply, a miracle is this. A miracle is when God shows up. It's when God shows up. Everything that was normal, suddenly this day is abnormal. Everything that was natural, suddenly this is supernatural. We felt very alone, and now we feel his presence very near.
Howdy, Pastor Mark here. Thanks for viewing the clip. And if you'd like the entire sermon, we've got it ready to go.